Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. My name is Clay Lexon and I'm one of the engineers with the City of Moorhead. This is an informational video for an upcoming street construction project that's proposed to take place in your neighborhood during the summer of 2025. In this video, I'll cover several topics including the city's pavement management program, a description of the proposed work, a funding summary, and ways for you to provide comments. We'll also let you know how to stay up to date as the project progresses. Before we get into the specifics of the project, I do want to mention one additional source of information that you might find helpful. The city has a dedicated website that provides information on the city's pavement management program. If you've never heard of a pavement management program, that's okay. This is a great place for you to check out. In addition to providing background on what the program is, you'll get information on how the city selects projects, work strategies for major projects, a deeper explanation of funding and assessments, and a lot more. There are great interactive mapping tools on the site that show where projects are located across the city. That includes past projects, current projects, and upcoming projects. You can click on the street lines for additional information. There is another informational video on there as well. It's a great supplemental source of information to this video. If you go to the city's website and navigate to the engineering page, you'll find the link to the Pavement Management Program Story Map page here. It's circled in red. If you click on that, you'll arrive at this page, and then you can scroll through the page at your own pace. Now I'll go through the history of the project area and the existing conditions. So per city records, the roads in the project area were constructed between the years 1955 and 1960. The streets in this area are bituminous or asphalt pavement. As for major work since the original construction, 10th Avenue has had a seal coat in 1998. 16th Street had a seal coat the same year, but had an additional one done more recently in 2013. And lastly, 9th Avenue had a seal coat back in 1999, with a small portion at the intersection of it, and 14th Street having another one in 2022. There likely has been some other minor maintenance performed on the street, but it's not on record. Throughout the project area, sidewalks can be found continuously running on at least one side of the street from intersection to intersection. There's no need to fill in any gaps or propose new sidewalk. Most of the sidewalk within the project area will be left as is, outside of any additional local repairs. There are segments of sidewalk that will be replaced due to overall poor condition, and there are several areas of sidewalk that will be replaced to maintain ADA compliance. There are also sections of curb and gutter that will be replaced or repaired to improve drainage on the street, but not all curb and gutter will be replaced. As for utilities, the sanitary sewer is generally in acceptable condition. The city periodically televises the sanitary sewer mains and makes repairs when defects are identified. At the present time, no repairs are necessary. The current storm sewer water system is also considered to be in acceptable condition, and no repairs are needed here either. Currently, the water main running along 10th and 16th are made of cast iron pipe. These will be replaced with 6-inch PVC, while any existing PVC and cement mains will remain. Additionally, there are several lead water service lines that will also be replaced. Now, I'll go over some project-specific information about what we're proposing to do in this neighborhood. The proposed street improvements for this area qualify as a rehabilitation project. Here we have a list of common elements that identify a typical street rehabilitation project, as well as a picture displaying both the scope of work and the type of work that we're proposing. In a rehabilitation project, the pavement is replaced, but the curb and gutter largely stays intact. As can be seen here, 9th Avenue from 14th Street to 17th Street, 10th Avenue from 14th to 16th, and the entire stretch of 16th Street from 9th Avenue down to 12th are all planned to be a rehab. As for the blue dashed line, this shows approximately where the water main is going to be replaced along both 10th Avenue and 16th Street. Outside of water main replacement, no other utility improvements are currently planned. On this slide, I've got some generic project information. The anticipated start date for this project would be sometime in May or June of this year. This is a smaller project, but the timeline will ultimately be dependent on the contractor's schedule and weather. The final completion date for this project is estimated to be near the end of September. That doesn't necessarily mean that the entire project will be in a state of construction from May to the end of September, and it's not a guarantee that all the work will be completed by then. It just means that the contractor has that window of time to complete the project, and if they do not complete it by that date, the city may consider applying financial penalties. The project will also be completed in phases, and each phase has a specific amount of time allotted for construction. During construction, there will be times where residents will not have access to their driveways and will need to park vehicles on nearby streets that are not under construction. When this becomes necessary, you'll be notified several days in advance. Access will change throughout the project depending on the scope of work in your area and then at what stage the project is happening. If you have questions about access, please contact one of our staff. And then during construction, our field staff will be the best source of information for you on this topic. If you need any special considerations for access, please contact us as soon as possible so that we can do our best to provide accommodations. For example, this may include residents that use a wheelchair or residents who frequently make use of the FM Ride Source program. Please feel free to speak to us about your situation and we'll do our best to accommodate you. We will notify the police department that we will have a construction project in the area, so they should not be ticketing if you're parked on a side street. If you do get a ticket when you're parked on a side street, please contact me and we'll work to get it resolved. Garbage and recycling pickup will still happen more or less like normal. If the trucks cannot get through to you to pick up the containers, we'll ask that you just bring your containers down to the end of your driveway like you normally would. The contractor will round them up and bring them to a common location for collection. After collection, they'll be returned to you. If that becomes necessary, we just ask that you put your name and house number somewhere on that container. On to assessments. Assessments on this project are expected to generate approximately $371,000 and are calculated using the city rate for rehabilitation projects, which is applied to the front footage of the property. So generally on a square or rectangular, that's measured as the width of the property abutting the street. And a rehab rate on this project is $90 a front foot. We've estimated that the project will cost approximately $1.62 million. That includes all the costs associated with construction, contingencies, and fees. The funding for this project comes from two sources: special assessments and a general obligation improvement bond financed through the PIR fund. Again, special assessments on this project will consist of front footage assessments and are expected to generate approximately $371,000. This, in conjunction with the above-mentioned general obligation bond, will cover the total project cost. If you have general questions about the project, please feel free to reach out to the city engineering contact that's listed at the end of this presentation, and you can do that by email or by phone. If you have questions about construction access or schedule or scope of work, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to speak with you by phone or even come out with you and meet on site. Lastly, please let us know if you have a sump pump line or an irrigation line in the boulevard. Often we only find out about these after we've dug them up. If you have one, we can mark it and we'll do our best to try to avoid it. You may be required to relocate it if we can't, but we do try to avoid damaging them. If you are interested in receiving periodic email updates about the project prior to construction and then again during construction, you can go to the city's website and click on notifications. There is a spot where you can fill in some contact information, select a project, and then you can submit to be placed on a list. And then when we send out updates about that project, you'll receive those emails. Lastly, if you have any questions specifically related to special assessments, please feel free to reach out to the city's special assessment coordinator, Amy Seifert. If you have questions about rates or amounts or how the whole process works, she's the one that you want to speak with. And if you made it this far in the presentation, we wanted to say thank you. Thank you very much for your time, and again, please feel free to reach out with any questions.